Benjamin told me that Closetta was coming home soon in the past. Benjamin would pick her up every time she returned home. I didn't expect Benjamin to be such a simp, considering his cold personality. He was so busy, but he still took time out of his schedule to pick up an ex-girlfriend who already had a new boyfriend. Well, there is a saying that whence a simp will still get nothing after licking us's. I told Benjamin decisively, don't pick her up this time. Just accompany me for a vacation instead. So when Closetta and her current boyfriend arrived in our city, Benjamin and I were already in Maldives. It was so wonderful to travel at the company's expense. Thanks to Benjamin, I could finally stay in the luxurious Jusephine resort and enjoy the clean private beach. The shadow of coconut trees, the blue sea, and the sandy beach created a scene of a fairyland. During the day, I did some outdoor activities with Benjamin, such as diving, fishing, and sailing. At night, I had a big meal with Benjamin by the dreamy starlight pool, watching the starry underwater lights contrast with the night sky. All of these made me realize that it was so amazing to have money. I really had never been so happy in my life. Of course, I didn't forget the ultimate purpose of this trip. I brought a paparazzo with me to ensure that every happy moment I had with Benjamin could be captured in an instant clearly. When we returned home, I would post the photos on the internet. It would make my former colleagues who looked down on me crazily envious of me. Of course, Closetta would also be jealous in general. The itinerary was very successful, except for one accident. I always kissed Benjamin. It was not really my fault. It was just that the environment was too wonderful. Think about it. A woman and a man sat side by side on the glass floor and drank wine with a blue sea beneath their feet, countless small fish swimming around, and a vast starry sky above their head. And the thing was, the man was super gorgeous, who could just resist kissing a beauty in such a romantic atmosphere. Anyway, I couldn't help it. Originally, I just wanted to kiss him to satisfy my desire, and I even made up an excuse. After all, I brought a paparazzo to act out a love story. I had planned to say, have you ever seen lovers who don't kiss? But before I could pull away from the kiss, Benjamin grabbed my neck and deepened the kiss. Well, he was indeed an experienced man in this aspect. His kissing skills were next level, making me lightheaded. In the end, I tried my best to remind him. The paparazzo, he looked at me like I was an idiot. I knew I was rash this time. Benjamin frowned and asked,
"Is this your first kiss?"
This affected my experience with him. For me, it went against what I thought. I felt a little uncomfortable. For him, he had to be careful and gentle to me. Later, Benjamin's lips landed on mine, and then I fell asleep. By the time I woke up, it was already dawn. Benjamin was sleeping quietly in my arms. I think I regarded him as Bonaventure in my sleep. So I hugged him in my arms. When I opened my eyes, I saw Benjamin's head leaning against my chest. Because the whole scene was so racy that I almost instinctively shouted, Then I kicked Benjamin away. Benjamin opened his eyes in a daze and saw me pulling the quilt to cover my naked chest. He looked at me with disgust and said,
"Juliette, isn't it a little late for you to pretend to be innocent?"
Yeah, I also realized that my behavior was a little funny, so I pretended to be calm and let go of my hand, which was holding the quilt. I obviously underestimated the smoothness of the silk quilt in the luxury hotel. After I released my hand, I watched the quilt slip smoothly under the bed along my body. Well, I was naked in front of Benjamin once again. We stared at each other for a while. To show that I had experienced a lot in life, So I said, how about we do it again? Benjamin ignored me. He stood up gracefully and put on his clothes very calmly under my gaze.
I will transfer the money to your phone later.
He walked out elegantly after saying that. Money. What money? When I realized what he meant, I jumped out of bed angrily. But Benjamin had disappeared. It was so insulting. I couldn't bear it. I angrily turned on my phone and was ready to transfer money to Benjamin to buy his service first. Just like when I was thinking about how much money I should transfer to him, I was prompted in WhatsApp that I had received a transfer. I clicked on it casually and looked at the string of zeros behind the one. My angry heart immediately calmed down. Well, it felt so good to be insulted by money, honestly. I hope Benjamin could insult me a few more times. After 10 times, I could retire happily. So for the next few days, I tried to continue to seduce Benjamin. For that, I downloaded a series of classic romantic novels for reference. But no matter how hard I tried, Benjamin wasn't even fazed. On the day before our return, after I took another shower, I paced back and forth in Benjamin's white shirt with my wet hair and bare legs. Benjamin said,
You don't have to waste your time. I won't sleep with you anymore.
Huh?
It's too expensive. I'm afraid I'll go bankrupt.
Said he. Actually, if it's really that expensive, I can also offer a discount. In order to avoid a high discount, I only said that inwardly. Anyway, my trip with Benjamin was worth it. When we flew back, there was no doubt that everybody knew I was like Benjamin's true love. While the iron was still hot, I asked Benjamin to take me home to see his parents. Benjamin looked at me like I was crazy and said,
You are humiliating yourself. My parents will not accept you.
I looked at him in confusion. I don't expect your parents to accept me, and I don't want to marry you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to show Closetta to your attitude so that you are serious about me and different from those wenches in the past, that's all. Benjamin was probably embarrassed by my retort and looked unhappy.
Whatever. I don't care if you're not afraid of being mistreated.
What a joke. He underestimated my proletariat's ability to endure humiliation. Well, what could his parents do except for mocking me? They wouldn't possibly slap me, right? I was prepared to be scolded, but in fact, Josephine, Benjamin's mother, was friendly to me. She only nodded at me when we first met, and then she talked to Benjamin all the time, as if I didn't exist. Josephine was really a noble woman. She had a good temperament. Well, perhaps I was too shallow. I didn't expect that a noble lady didn't have to curse at all. Noble ladies were usually good at attacking people by ignoring them. Unfortunately, she wasn't facing a potential daughter-in-law, but me, a corporate slave. What was the one thing corporate slaves were afraid of? It was their boss's attention. What was the happiest thing for corporate slaves? Bingo. Their bosses is just ignorant. Only without the boss's attention one could slack freely. I tasted the peaberry coffee brought by the butler without distractions. This was the peaberry coffee that Josephine drank. It was said to be made in front of Mount Sparrowville's Lower Hilcester Chapel, and it was very authentic. I probably wouldn't drink it for the second time in my life. Perhaps my calmness moved Josephine. Before I left, she suddenly asked me to accompany her to her bestie's party.
They are my friends. Since you are Benjamin's girlfriend, you should also get to know them.
Josephine said so casually, but I was shocked. What did she mean? Did she accept that I was going to be her future daughter-in-law? Why? I was so confused. But Benjamin was very calm. He said,
If Mom wants you to go, then go.
You have to attend to.
Josephine said firmly.
Closey will also attend with Miss Kloss. You haven't met since she came back this time, right?
Therefore, my first encounter with my rival, Closetta, occurred in advance. I originally planned to take this opportunity to use Benjamin's money and swipe his card to get myself ready for this. Unexpectedly, Josephine moved much faster than me. The next day, she sent me a whole styling team. It was the modeling team of Lily, the most popular female star today. Looking at the whole team, I couldn't help but worry the team came to give me a makeover. But what about Lily? Before I could think too much, I was given a makeover from top to bottom and from inside out. After I felt that I was no longer me, I finally had the honor to be in the top aristocratic social circle of the city.